Hey man, when a woman knows she's lost you, truly lost you, not just in the sense that you've pulled away temporarily, not just in the sense that you're giving her the silent treatment for a few days, but in the deeper, bone-deep way that a man detaches when his soul has had enough, her entire demeanor shifts in ways that even she can't control. At first, she doesn't want to believe it. She convinces herself that you're just upset, that you'll come back, that this is just another one of those moments where she can pull the strings and get you to react. But over time, she senses the difference. She feels the finality in your silence, the lack of tension in your absence, the chilling indifference in your presence. That's when the panic sets in. Not because she loves you in the way you once thought, but because she realizes she no longer holds the power she once did. One of the first ways she acts when she knows she's lost you is by scrambling to recreate the version of herself that you once fell for. The sweet, affectionate, supportive woman you thought you had in the beginning suddenly resurfaces. She cooks your favorite meal. She starts wearing the outfits you used to compliment. She remembers the little things she neglected for years. But here's the irony. It's too late. Because while she's playing catch up with the past, you've already outgrown the illusion. What once hooked you now looks like a costume. And no matter how hard she tries to resurrect that version of herself, you can see through it. You're no longer the same man who fell for the act, and her attempts only highlight the emptiness of what she's offering. Another behavior you'll see is her trying to provoke you. If she can't get your attention with sweetness, she'll try with chaos. She'll pick fights, throw accusations, even make up stories to stir your emotions. Why? Because even anger means she still has influence. Even conflict means she's still on your mind. But when you don't take the bait, when you don't raise your voice or explain yourself endlessly, when you simply look at her with calm detachment or walk away altogether, it shatters her. Because anger is still energy, but indifference is deaf to her control. That's when she realizes the storm she once used to control you no longer even makes you flinch, and nothing terrifies her more than that. She'll also turn to performance for others. If she senses she's lost you, she'll suddenly make herself look like the perfect girlfriend or ex in front of friends, family, or social media. She'll post pictures that suggest she's glowing without you. She'll drop subtle lines to mutual friends about how she tried everything, and she'll act like she's thriving. But behind closed doors, the mask slips. She's restless, anxious, constantly checking if you're watching, if you're reacting. Because her performance isn't for herself, it's for you. She wants you to see what you're supposedly missing. But the truth is, the more she performs, the more desperate she reveals herself to be. A woman secure in herself doesn't need an audience. A woman who's lost you acts like she's on stage, trying to convince the world she's still winning. And then comes the bargaining phase. She'll make promises she never intended to keep before. I'll change, I'll do better, I'll listen this time. Suddenly, all the complaints you voiced throughout the relationship, complaints she dismissed, mocked, or ignored, become her checklist of things to fix. But by then, it's no longer about growth, it's about survival. She doesn't want to change because she finally understands you. She wants to change because she realizes she can't manipulate you anymore. And deep down, you know the difference. Real change takes humility, time, and consistency. But when she knows she's lost you, she tries to compress all of that into a frantic display of promises. It looks convincing on the surface, but to a man who's detached, it's transparent. You can see that it's not transformation, it's desperation. When sweetness and promises don't work, she'll test you with rebounds. She'll suddenly post photos with other men, maybe an old male friend, maybe a co-worker, maybe even someone she once swore was just like a brother. These displays aren't about genuine attraction. They're carefully staged attempts to trigger your jealousy, to make you doubt your decision, to pull you back into the emotional roller coaster. She wants you to feel the sting of being replaced, to panic at the idea that she's moved on faster than you. But here's the paradox. If you react, she wins. If you ignore it completely, she spirals, because a rebound only has power if it destabilizes you. And when you show no reaction, when you let her play her games in silence, she realizes that even the threat of replacement can't shake you anymore. That's when the fear deepens, because she knows she's truly lost her grip. Guilt becomes her next weapon. She'll remind you of everything she claims to have done for you, everything she sacrificed, every moment where she thinks you owe her gratitude. She'll twist the narrative to make it seem like you abandoned her after all she invested. But here's the truth. Those sacrifices were never unconditional. They were part of the deal she signed up for when she wanted your energy, your love, your resources. When you detach, she reframes them as proof that you're ungrateful. This guilt trip is designed to break your frame, to make you question whether you've been unfair, to lure you back into her world out of obligation rather than love. But a man who's seen through the illusion knows this trick for what it is: emotional debt collection. And the only way to win is to refuse to pay, because the debt was never real. As her grip weakens, she may swing into extremes, moments of desperation followed by sudden coldness. One day she'll cry, telling you she can't live without you. The next, she'll act like you never existed, as if she's suddenly too busy or too happy to care. This push and pull isn't true detachment, it's theater. She's testing if the pendulum of emotions can still reel you in. But when you don't budge, when your calm indifference remains constant, whether she's crying or flaunting her independence, it drives her insane. Because the woman who once lived in your head, rent-free, now realizes she can't even rent a corner of your thoughts. And that shift of power changes everything. It's no longer you reacting to her, it's her reacting to your silence. Eventually, bitterness sets in. When she knows the sweetness won't bring you back, when the promises fall flat, when the rebounds fail, and when the guilt trips don't land, her act transforms into resentment. She starts painting you as the villain, not just to herself, but to everyone who will listen. Suddenly, you're the selfish one, the cold one, the one who never appreciated her. This rewriting of history isn't about truth, it's about self-preservation. She needs to cast herself as the victim, to avoid facing the reality that she lost you by her own actions. And here's the irony. The more she talks badly about you, the more obvious it becomes that she's not over you. A man truly forgotten doesn't inspire endless stories. Only a man who left a void big enough to haunt her gets that much attention. And finally, when all else fails, she tries to mimic your detachment. She starts acting as if she doesn't care, as if she's moved on, as if she's the one who made the choice to leave. But true detachment is calm, quiet, unshakable. Hers is loud, forced, and inconsistent. She brags about being fine, but checks your profile in the dark. She laughs too loudly at new experiences, but stalks your silence for signs of reaction. She tells everyone she's happier now, but secretly wonders why you're not chasing, why you're not broken, why you look freer than you ever did with her. That's when the truth dawns on her. The power has shifted permanently. She no longer controls the script, she no longer dictates the story. And when she knows she's lost you for good, her actions reveal the deepest truth of all. The one who walks away with peace always wins. When she knows she's lost you, one of the most common things she does is attempt a subtle re-entry. Not the grand apology you might expect, not the dramatic confession of love you may have once longed for. No, it's much quieter, much more calculated. It might come as a random "Hey, how are you?" text, months after silence. It could be a like on an old photo, a comment on something insignificant, or an accidental mistake text sent to you that was supposedly meant for someone else. These little breadcrumbs are not about reconnecting. They're probes, tests to see if she still has any pull over you. If you respond quickly, she knows you're still hooked. If you respond with warmth, she knows you haven't moved on. But when your silence stretches, when your detachment shows, she feels the sting all over again, because she realizes her test has failed, and she no longer has the influence she once thought was permanent. Another thing she does is start conversations with mutual friends about you. She'll act casual, dropping your name lightly, fishing for information without making it too obvious. "Oh, have you seen him lately? How's he doing?" She frames it as simple curiosity, but in reality, it's a desperate attempt to peek into your world without having to confront you directly. What eats her alive is not knowing. She can't stand the idea that you're thriving in silence, building without her, living in a peace she can't touch. And the more she tries to gather scraps of information, the more she reveals to herself that you still live in her mind. A woman who's moved on doesn't stalk in shadows. A woman who's lost you but can't accept it always seeks new ways to feel your presence, whether directly or indirectly. She may also attempt to infiltrate your life through nostalgia. Out of nowhere, she'll bring up an old memory, something from when things were good between you. "Remember that trip we took? Or this song reminded me of us." Nostalgia is a powerful weapon because it bypasses logic and appeals directly to emotion. She knows that those good memories once held you hostage, that they once made you hold on longer than you should have, so she tries to revive them in hopes you'll slip back into the same emotional trap. But when you respond with indifference, when you see the memory for what it is, a relic of a past that no longer serves you, it doesn't pull you back, it pushes you further away. Because instead of feeling warmth, you feel clarity. She's using the past because she has no future with you, As time goes on, her regret doesn't vanish, it transforms. At first, it's sadness and panic that she lost control. Then it turns into frustration that her tactics don't work. And finally, it becomes obsession. Not obsession with you as a man, but obsession with the fact that she couldn't keep you under her spell. That's why she checks your page at 2 a.m, why she finds excuses to bring up your name, why she stalks your silence more than she ever valued your presence. She becomes consumed, not because she loves you, but because she hates the idea of losing power. And the cruel twist is that the more she obsesses, the less of you she actually has, because you've shifted from being her source of validation to being the mirror that reflects her failure. But perhaps the clearest sign of all is how she reacts to your growth. When she sees you leveling up, whether in your career, your health, your confidence, or your relationships, she can't hide her discomfort. She'll try to downplay your success, dismiss your achievements, or even spread subtle negativity about you to others. But beneath the surface, what really gnaws at her is this: you became better without her. She always believed she was the prize, the center of your world, the reason for your drive. And now she sees you thriving without her presence, without her energy, without her chaos. That's when the truth fully sinks in. She didn't just lose you, she lost the chance to ever stand beside the version of you she helped sharpen through pain. And that realization, more than anything else, is what haunts her long after you're gone. When all her subtle games fail, she begins to lose control over herself in ways that shock even her. The woman who once prided herself on being in charge of the relationship dynamic, who once thought she could play you like an instrument, finds her hands trembling because the music no longer plays. She might lash out in bursts of rage, accusing you of being heartless or selfish, not because she believes it, but because she wants to feel something, anything from you. The silence and indifference cut deeper than anger ever could. It's in this moment she realizes she's no longer the one controlling the pace, the tone, or the outcome. The calm energy you now carry, the unshakable resolve in your eyes, exposes her fragility. Her words no longer shape you, her emotions no longer move you, and once that illusion of control shatters, she spirals into behaviors that reveal just how much power she's lost. One of the ways she tries to cope with this loss of control is by rewriting the story. She begins telling people that she was the one who left you, that she was the one who grew tired, that you weren't enough for her. This isn't truth, it's survival. Her ego can't handle admitting she lost a man who chose reality over her illusion, so she crafts a narrative that places her back in the role of power. To outsiders, it might sound convincing, but to those who know you, to those who see your calm stride forward, it's obvious the truth lies in your silence, not her words, because men who are broken often lash out publicly, men who are healed move on quietly. And nothing is more unsettling for her than realizing her rewritten version of history holds no weight in the face of your undeniable peace. As her attempts to maintain power crumble, she leans heavily into distractions. She may jump from man to man, convincing herself each time that she's found something better, but deep down, it's never about them. It's still about you. Every new man she entertains becomes a prop in her ongoing battle to erase the memory of losing you. But the irony is that none of them measure up, because they're not you. And it's not because you're perfect, it's because you're the one who refused to be fooled. That defiance etched itself into her memory in a way she can't erase. So while she flaunts new faces, while she stages new romances, the shadow of you lingers in the background. The man she lost isn't just another name in her history. He's the one who walked away on his own terms, and that image haunts her no matter how many distractions she piles on top of it. This is why over time, her act of pretending not to care turns into bitterness. She begins to resent you, not for mistreating her, not for betraying her, but for doing the one thing she never thought possible, leaving with your dignity intact. That bitterness leaks out in small ways: snide comments, passive-aggressive remarks, attempts to undermine your reputation. But the deeper truth is this: bitterness is only born from powerlessness. She resents you because she can't rewrite the outcome. She can't flip the script. She can't undo the fact that you saw through her act. And bitterness, unlike chaos, has no energy. It doesn't destabilize you. It doesn't move you. It only eats away at her. Every time she thinks of you, she tastes that bitterness again. And every time she does, it reminds her of the truth. She lost you, and there's nothing left to play. The final stage of her behavior, when she knows she's lost you, is quiet obsession. Long after the tears have dried, long after the public performances fade, long after the rebounds collapse under their own emptiness, she finds herself still checking for signs of you. She might not admit it, she might never say it aloud, but in the privacy of her mind, she replays the story again and again. She wonders how you detached so fully, how you carried yourself with such calm finality, how you built a world without her and seemed happier in it. And that obsession never really goes away, because it's not about love, it's about respect. She never respected you when she thought she had you. She only learned to respect you when you became the one man she couldn't control, the one man she couldn't drain, the one man who walked away unbroken. That respect, twisted though it may be, is the lasting scar you leave behind. When she knows she's lost you and sees that none of her tactics work, she often makes one last desperate attempt at reconciliation. It doesn't come from a place of love or clarity, it comes from panic. Suddenly, she might reach out with a long emotional message, pouring her heart out in ways she never did when you were present. She'll use phrases like, "I finally understand," or "You were right all along," not because she's truly transformed, but because she's hoping your heart will soften enough to give her another chance. But here's what she fails to realize: words no longer move you. Promises mean nothing when they arrive after you've detached. By the time she comes with that desperate confession, it's no longer redemption, it's validation for you that walking away was the right choice. Because the man who leaves with dignity always forces the woman who played games to face herself. What makes this last attempt backfire is that by then, you've learned the truth about patterns. You've seen her sweet, you've seen her cruel, you've seen her cry, you've seen her cold, and every cycle has taught you the same lesson. It was never real, only performance. So when she tries to play the role of the humbled, reformed woman, you can't unsee the actress beneath the mask. It doesn't stir love in you, it stirs awareness. You realize that if you were to step back into her world, the cycle would only restart. And this time, you wouldn't just lose energy, you'd lose respect for yourself. That's why strong men don't return, no matter how tempting the apology may sound. Because the apology doesn't erase the damage, it simply proves she knew all along what she was doing. And she only admits it when she no longer benefits. As the dust settles, something shifts permanently in her. She doesn't just regret losing you, she becomes haunted by it. Every new relationship she enters is shadowed by your ghost. When another man tries to lead her, she remembers how you led with calm strength. When another man gives in to her chaos, she remembers how you refused to. When another man bends to her demands, she remembers the unshakable boundary that made you untouchable. This haunting doesn't make her love you, it makes her respect you in ways she never did while she had you. And that respect is the one thing she can't fake, can't control, and can't take back. You become the silent standard she measures others against, even when she pretends she doesn't. And that's the mark of a man who truly walked away for good. You left not bitterness, but an echo she can't silence. Meanwhile, your silence becomes louder than any argument you could have ever made. While she tells her version of the story, while she paints herself as the victim or tries to rewrite history, your lack of response says everything. You don't defend yourself, you don't explain, you don't justify, you simply move forward. And that forward motion, that refusal to get stuck in her web of explanations, is what makes your absence thunder in her mind. Because silence can't be debated, and indifference can't be manipulated. Every time she checks to see if you've said something, every time she wonders if you'll break your calm, every time she waits for a reaction that never comes, the truth pierces deeper. She lost you not in a single fight, but in the quiet strength of your refusal to play her game. In the end, when she knows she's lost you, her actions expose a reality she never wanted to face, that the man she thought would always be there, the man she thought she could test, manipulate or drain, was the man who walked away with his soul intact. And once that happens, she may act strong, she may act cold, she may act indifferent, but deep down, she knows she will never encounter you again. Not in the same form, not in the same way, not with the same access. And that knowledge stays with her long after the tears fade, long after the rebounds collapse, long after the bitterness burns out. Because a man who truly detaches doesn't just walk out of her life, he takes the script, the stage, and the spotlight with him, and all she's left with is the silence that reminds her every single day. She lost a man she will never get back,